The message arrived on a Tuesday morning, transmitted across every diplomatic channel humanity possessed. It was beautiful, really. The holographic display shimmered with colors that human eyes had never seen before, accompanied by harmonious sounds that made even the hardest soldiers feel peaceful. The message was simple: come to Sanctuary 7, let us end this war. Let us have peace. Admiral Sarah Chen stood in the war room, her gray uniform crisp despite the early hour. She had been fighting this war for 15 years, ever since that first disastrous contact with the aliens. 15 years of watching young men and women leave Earth and never come back. 15 years of pushing humanity's industrial capacity to its absolute limit just to stay alive. Now 47 alien species were inviting humanity to talk. The Galactic Concordat, they called themselves, a coalition so vast that humanity's entire military could fit inside one of their parade formations. They wanted peace talks. They wanted to negotiate. They wanted humanity to come to their neutral station unarmed, to discuss the future. It's a trap, said Commander Marcus Webb. He was Chen's chief of intelligence, a man who had spent the last decade learning how aliens thought. Every instinct I have is screaming trap, Chen nodded slowly. She walked to the large window overlooking Earth. Blue oceans, white clouds, green continents. 7 billion souls depending on her decisions. Show me the data again. Webb pulled up the analysis on the main screen. The Concordat has never offered peace before. For 15 years, they've pushed forward, taking system after system. Now suddenly they want to talk. The timing is suspicious. What else? Chen asked. The location. Sanctuary 7 is supposed to be neutral, but it's deep in their territory. 3 weeks' travel from our nearest base. If something goes wrong, we're alone out there. Webb paused. And there's this tradition they keep mentioning. The sacred tradition of arriving unarmed. Proof of good faith, they call it. Chen almost laughed. They want us to show up defenseless. Exactly, Webb said. Every message emphasizes it. Come in peace. Bring no weapons. Trust in the ancient ways of negotiation. Another officer spoke up. This was Colonel James Park, head of fleet operations. We've intercepted some chatter. Nothing concrete, but there's increased military movement near Sanctuary 7. Could be routine. Could be an ambush being prepared. The room fell silent. Outside, Earth continued its eternal spin, unaware that its fate was being decided in this gray room by tired people drinking bad coffee. Chen made her decision. We're going! The room erupted in protest, but Chen raised her hand. We're going, but not the way they expect. Marcus, pull up Protocol Trojan Horse. Webb's eyes widened. A slow smile crossed his face. You want to run that play? I want to run that play, Chen confirmed. Protocol Trojan Horse had been conceived 5 years ago by a think tank that specialized in asymmetric warfare. The idea was simple but required perfect execution. If the enemy expected you to be weak, appear weak. If they expected you defenseless, appear defenseless. Then, when they committed to their attack, hit them with everything you had. Over the next week, humanity prepared. Publicly, they announced their acceptance of the peace talks with great fanfare. The president gave a speech about hope and new beginnings. News channels showed people celebrating in the streets. Earth's greatest diplomats were selected for the mission. The 12 largest diplomatic vessels in the fleet were prepared for the journey. Behind the scenes, a different preparation took place. In secret shipyards, engineers worked around the clock. The diplomatic vessels were actually humanity's newest dreadnoughts, covered in sensor-blocking plating that made them appear civilian. Weapon systems were hidden in compartments that could deploy in seconds. Shield generators powerful enough to withstand sustained bombardment were disguised as standard navigational equipment. The diplomats were carefully selected too. Every single person going to Sanctuary 7 was a veteran. Soldiers, Marines, pilots, all trained in combat. They would wear formal diplomatic attire, but each uniform was made of smart fabric that could transform into powered combat armor with a single command. Chen personally oversaw every detail. She walked through the ships, checking systems, talking to crew members. These people were putting their lives in her hands, trusting that her plan would work. Admiral, one young officer asked her, what if we're wrong? What if they really do want peace? Chen looked at the kid. Couldn't be more than 25. Then we'll have the most heavily armed peace negotiation in history, and nobody needs to know. But if we're right, she didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. The alien messages kept coming. The Concordat seemed eager, almost too eager. They provided detailed instructions about the approach to Sanctuary 7. They sent information about the station's layout, about where the humans should dock, about the ceremony that would welcome them. They emphasized again and again the importance of arriving unarmed. "They're trying too hard," Webb observed one night as he and Chen reviewed the latest transmission. "Look at this. They've sent 17 messages in 3 days. Each one mentions disarmament." "Maybe they're just thorough," Chen said, playing devil's advocate. "Or maybe they're worried we won't fall for it," Webb countered. Chen stared at the alien text on the screen. The words seemed friendly, but there was something underneath. A hunger, perhaps. An anticipation. "We proceed as planned." The fleet departed on schedule. 12 massive ships gleaming white with humanity's symbols painted on their hulls. Escort vessels surrounded them, also painted in peaceful colors. To any observer, it looked like exactly what it was supposed to be. A diplomatic convoy, hopeful and vulnerable. Inside the flagship, Chen sat in her command chair. Around her, the bridge crew worked quietly. Everyone knew the truth. Everyone was ready. "Status report," Chen ordered. "All ships report ready, Admiral," replied the communications officer. "Weapon systems are concealed and operational. All personnel are briefed on protocol Trojan Horse." "Good," Chen said. She activated her personal log, something she did before every major operation. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen. Day 1 of Operation Trojan Horse. We're heading into what is likely an ambush. The Concordat thinks we're naive enough to walk into their trap defenseless. They're about to learn something about humanity. We prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. If they truly want peace, they'll have it. If they want war, they'll get more than they bargained for." She closed the log and looked at the view screen. Stars streaked past as the fleet jumped to faster-than-light travel. 3 weeks to Sanctuary 7. 3 weeks to prepare mentally for what was coming. 3 weeks until humanity walked into the trap with eyes wide open. Behind them, Earth grew smaller in the distance. Ahead, somewhere in the dark between stars, an enemy waited. An enemy that thought humanity was coming to surrender. An enemy that had no idea what was really approaching. Chen allowed herself a small smile. The Concordat had invited humanity to a negotiation. They'd asked humanity to come unarmed, to be vulnerable, to trust in their good intentions. Humanity was coming, all right. But they were bringing their weapons anyway. The war was about to enter its final phase, and only one side knew it. Sanctuary 7 appeared on the view screen like a jewel floating in the void. The station was enormous, easily the size of a small moon, covered in lights that pulsed with welcoming colors. Hundreds of ships surrounded it, representing dozens of alien species. To anyone watching, it looked like the galaxy had gathered to welcome humanity into a new era of peace. Admiral Chen studied the tactical display. Her experienced eye caught details that others might miss. Those ships were positioned too perfectly. The approach vector the Concordat had provided would put the human fleet in a kill box, surrounded on all sides. Even the station itself had weapons, though they were supposedly deactivated for the ceremony. "They've really committed to this," Commander Webb said quietly, standing beside her command chair. 43 warships pretending to be a welcoming committee. 43 that we can see, Chen corrected. "Scan for cloaked vessels." The sensor officer worked quickly. "Reading anomalies at Point Sierra 7 and November 12th. Likely cloaked ships, Admiral." "Could be as many as 20 more," Chen nodded. 60-plus warships all hidden among the peaceful ceremony. The Concordat had planned this carefully. They'd probably been planning it since the moment they sent that first message. "All ships begin approach," Chen ordered. "Follow their designated flight path exactly. Look peaceful, people. We're just innocent diplomats coming to negotiate." The human fleet moved forward, slow and steady. The diplomatic vessels gleamed white under Sanctuary 7's lights. Their engines ran at minimal power, their shields at civilian strength, their weapons completely hidden. To every scan the aliens performed, they would appear exactly as requested, unarmed and vulnerable. The communications channel crackled to life. An alien appeared on screen, its 3 eyes blinking in a pattern that humanity had learned meant pleasure. This was Ambassador Kelthar, one of the Concordat's senior diplomats. "Humans," the alien said through the translation system, "welcome to Sanctuary 7. Your arrival brings joy to all peaceful species. We celebrate this day of new beginnings." Chen stood, smoothing her dress uniform. She'd chosen to wear her medals today, all of them, 15 years of combat condensed into colored ribbons and metal decorations. Ambassador Kelthar, humanity thanks the Concordat for this invitation. We come in hope of lasting peace. The words tasted like ash in her mouth, but she kept her expression neutral. This was a performance, and she was a professional. Please dock at the designated ports, Kelthar continued. We have prepared a great ceremony to honor this historic moment. A banquet awaits where we shall share food and conversation as friends. Friends, Chen thought. Sure, friends who were planning to murder them all. The human ships docked smoothly. Boarding ramps extended, connecting to the station. Chen watched as the first of her diplomats disembarked, all wearing formal civilian attire. They looked harmless, just government officials in nice clothes carrying datapads instead of rifles. Chen herself led the delegation. She walked down the ramp with her head high, flanked by her senior staff. The alien welcoming committee was impressive, representatives from all 47 Concordat species. They made various gestures of respect, each according to their culture. The station's interior was beautiful. Towering ceilings, walls that seemed to shift colors, air that smelled of something sweet and clean. Everything was designed to make visitors feel safe and welcome. Chen noted the security checkpoints, the guard positions, the blast doors that could seal sections of the station in seconds. Your vessels will be secured during the ceremony, another alien announced. This one was a Vextar, the warrior species that led the Concordat's military. This is standard protocol. Of course, Chen agreed, though she noted that secured probably meant trapped at the docking clamps. The humans were escorted to a great hall. Inside, tables had been arranged in a vast circle, with the human delegation given places of honor at the center. Food was already being served, strange alien dishes that humanity's xenobiologists had declared safe to eat. Chen sat down, her team arranged around her. She caught Webb's eye across the table. He touched his collar briefly, a signal. The gesture meant his equipment was reading the room correctly. They were surrounded by armed guards hidden behind decorative screens. The ceiling had weapons platforms disguised as lighting fixtures. Even the serving staff were trained soldiers. The Concordat hadn't just invited humanity to a peace negotiation. They'd invited them into a prison that would become a tomb. The banquet began. Alien leaders stood to give speeches about unity, cooperation, and the end of conflict. Chen listened politely, noting that Lord Vexthor, the Concordat's supreme military commander, was absent, probably coordinating the attack from somewhere safe. When her turn came to speak, Chen stood. All eyes in the hall turned to her. Honored members of the Concordat, she began. Humanity has traveled far to be here. We have fought for 15 years, believing we had no choice. If there is truly a path to peace, we will take it. But let me be clear, humanity values honesty above all things. We hope that everyone present shares this value. She sat down. Several aliens shifted uncomfortably. Good. Let them wonder if humanity suspected anything. The dinner continued for hours, course after course of alien food, toast after toast to eternal friendship. Chen played her part perfectly, smiling and nodding and pretending to enjoy the celebration. Around her, her people did the same. They were all veterans, all trained actors when needed. As dessert was being served, Chen noticed movement in the upper galleries. More guards taking position. She checked her chronometer. Right on schedule. The Concordat would want to move soon, before the humans had a chance to disperse throughout the station. Then she felt it. A slight vibration through the floor. Ships moving into attack position outside. The trap was about to spring. Ambassador Kelthar stood again, raising a glass filled with some bubbling alien beverage. To the future, the alien declared. May our children never know war. To the future, everyone echoed. Chen raised her glass but didn't drink. Instead, she watched the doors, waiting. The lights changed. A warning signal, though the aliens probably thought humans wouldn't notice. Chen's hand moved slowly to her collar, where a small device was hidden in the fabric. Outside the station, human sensors detected the Concordat warships powering weapons. Inside, guards began moving out from behind their screens, still trying to be subtle. Commander Webb leaned close to Chen. Admiral, we're reading weapons charge on the station. Multiple targeting locks on our ships. How long? Chen whispered. 30 seconds, maybe less. Chen looked around the hall. Her people were ready, she could see it in their eyes. They'd all suspected this moment would come. Now it was here. Ambassador Kelthar was still talking, something about trade agreements and cultural exchanges. All lies, of course, words meant to distract while the noose tightened. Chen touched her collar device. One tap for standby. Her entire fleet would receive the signal. Every ship, every crew member, every weapon system hidden behind false panels and disguised plating. She thought about Earth, about 7 billion people who were counting on her, about 15 years of war that could end here one way or another. The vibration through the floor increased. Ships moving closer. Almost time. Chen stood up, interrupting Kelthar in mid-sentence. "Forgive me, Ambassador, but I have something important to say." The alien looked surprised but gestured for her to continue. Chen smiled. It wasn't a pleasant smile. "I want to thank the Concordat for this wonderful ceremony. The food, the speeches, the decorations. You've really gone to impressive lengths." She paused, letting her words sink in. Several aliens exchanged confused looks. "There's just one thing," Chen continued, her voice carrying to every corner of the hall. "We know," silence fell. Absolute crushing silence. "We know about the ambush," Chen said clearly. "We know about the warships hiding in attack formation. We know this entire peace negotiation is a trap designed to eliminate humanity." Kelthar's 3 eyes widened. Around the hall, guards began moving openly now, no longer pretending. Chen tapped her collar twice. "The signal for execute." And we came anyway. Outside the station, 12 diplomatic vessels began to change. Inside the hall, humanity prepared for war. The trap had been sprung, but not the way the Concordat expected. The moment hung frozen. Admiral Chen stood in the banquet hall, surrounded by aliens who had been pretending to celebrate peace. Now the masks had fallen. Alien guards raised weapons that had been hidden moments before. On the view screens around the hall, the space outside Sanctuary 7 showed Concordat warships moving into attack positions. Lord Vexthor appeared on every display, his armored form imposing even through a hologram. The supreme military commander of the Concordat looked pleased with himself. "Humans," he announced, "you are surrounded. Your ships are trapped at our docking clamps. Your people are unarmed on our station. You will surrender immediately or you will be destroyed." Chen felt the eyes of every person in the hall upon her, humans and aliens alike, all waiting to see what she would do. She reached up and adjusted her collar, a gesture that might seem nervous to observers. It wasn't. It was the final activation signal. "Lord Vexthor," Chen said calmly, "I appreciate the theatrical reveal. Very dramatic. But I'm afraid I must decline your generous offer of surrender." The alien commander's expression shifted to confusion. "You decline? Human, you have no choice. You are defenseless, are we?" Chen smiled. "Tell me, Lord Vexthor, what do you know about human military doctrine?" Before he could answer, Chen gave a simple command. "All personnel, dress for war." Around the banquet hall, every human touched their formal attire. The smart fabric responded instantly. Diplomatic suits and dresses began to shift, nanofibers rearranging themselves. Within seconds, every human was encased in powered combat armor, matte black and bristling with built-in weapons. The transformation was so smooth, so fast, that several aliens actually stepped backward in shock. Chen felt her own uniform transform around her. The fabric hardened into armor plates. Her dress shoes became combat boots. Her ceremonial cap became a tactical helmet. Weapon systems emerged from hidden compartments in the armor. She was no longer a diplomat. She was a warrior. "Impossible," Vexthor breathed. "Our scanners detected no weapons." "Your scanners detected exactly what we wanted them to detect," Chen replied. She tapped a control on her wrist and new images appeared on the view screens. "Now let me show you what else your scanners missed." Outside Sanctuary 7, the 12 human diplomatic vessels began their own transformation. The white civilian plating separated and fell away, revealing the warships beneath. They weren't diplomatic vessels at all. They were humanity's newest dreadnoughts, each one armed with enough firepower to crack a planet. Weapon ports opened along their hulls like eyes opening from sleep. Railguns, missile tubes, energy cannons all emerging from hidden compartments. Shield generators that had been disguised as standard equipment suddenly blazed to life at full military power. The ships that had seemed helpless moments ago were now apex predators. But that wasn't all. The escort vessels that had accompanied the fleet also dropped their disguises. What had appeared to be small courier ships were actually carrier groups. Their hulls split open, releasing hundreds of fighters. The small craft swarmed out like angry insects, forming defensive patterns around the larger ships. The Concordat forces had been expecting to attack defenseless civilians. Instead, they faced a fully armed battle fleet that had been hiding in plain sight. "You lied," Vexthor said, and Chen heard genuine shock in his voice. "You came armed. You violated the sacred traditions." Chen's laughter was cold. "Sacred traditions? You invited us to a peace negotiation so you could murder us, and you want to lecture us about traditions? Let me tell you something about humans, Vexthor. We have a saying, trust but verify." She began walking toward the large windows that looked out into space. Her armored boots rang on the station's floor. Around her, alien guards pointed weapons, but none dared fire. Not yet. Not while their commander was still broadcasting. "For 15 years you've pushed us," Chen continued. "You've attacked our colonies, destroyed our ships, killed millions of our people. And we fought back. We learned. We adapted. Do you know what humans are really good at, Vexthor? We're good at learning from our mistakes." Outside, the Concordat warships were spreading out, trying to surround the human fleet. But the humans had positioned themselves perfectly. They'd followed the Concordat's suggested approach vector, yes, but they'd done it in a way that gave them maximum defensive positioning. "When you invited us here," Chen said, "we had two choices. We could refuse and look weak, or we could come and risk a trap. So we did both. We came to your trap, but we brought our trap with us." She turned to face Vexthor's hologram directly. "You recorded everything, didn't you? This whole ceremony. You were going to broadcast it to the galaxy, show everyone how you destroyed humanity. Well, we've been recording too, and our transmissions are going out right now. To every species, every world, every ship in this sector. They're all watching you break your own sacred laws." Vexthor's expression darkened. "It changes nothing. You are still outnumbered 3-1. "Numbers aren't everything," Chen replied. She activated her command channel. All her ships, all her personnel could hear her now. "You built this war on the assumption that humans are weak, that we're young, naive, easy to manipulate. You forgot to account for one thing. Humans are survivors. We've been killing each other for thousands of years. We know every trick, every betrayal, every dirty tactic. When you invited us to a peace negotiation, did you really think we wouldn't see through it?" She raised her hand, and every human weapon in the hall charged. The sound was distinctive, that high-pitched whine of capacitors loading. Around them, aliens began backing toward the exits. 15 years ago, Chen said, "you made first contact with humanity by attacking our exploration ship. You didn't try to communicate. You didn't offer greetings. You just shot first. Today you pretended to want peace so you could finish what you started. Well, here's some human wisdom for you. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me." She lowered her hand. "Fire!" The human fleet opened fire simultaneously. It wasn't a wild barrage. Every shot was calculated, precise, targeted. The first volley didn't aim at the Concordat warships. Instead, it targeted Sanctuary 7's weapon systems. Railgun rounds traveling at relativistic speeds struck the station's hidden gun platforms. Explosions blossomed across the station's surface as weapons that were supposed to remain concealed were destroyed. Inside the station, human Marines moved with practiced efficiency. They'd studied the layout during the banquet, noting every security station, every blast door, every critical system. Now they moved to take control. Chen's personal guard formed around her as alien security forces tried to respond. The aliens were trained, but they'd expected to be fighting unarmed diplomats, not combat veterans in powered armor. The firefight in the banquet hall was brief and one-sided. Outside, the Concordat fleet finally responded to the attack. 60 warships opened fire at once, sending thousands of weapons toward the human fleet. It was an overwhelming barrage, enough firepower to vaporize a small moon. The human shields held. Barely, but they held. The dreadnoughts were built for this, designed to absorb incredible punishment. Their shields flickered and sparked under the assault, but they didn't break. And then humanity showed the Concordat something new. Something they'd been developing in secret for 5 years, waiting for the right moment to deploy it. Chen watched through her helmet's display as her flagship, the Indomitable, fired its main weapon. It was called Newton's Revenge, and it was beautifully simple. Instead of energy weapons or conventional missiles, it fired solid projectiles. Dense metal slugs accelerated to a significant fraction of light speed. The physics were elementary. A small mass moving fast enough hits like a nuclear weapon, and these projectiles were moving very fast indeed. The first slug hit a Concordate battlecruiser amidships. The alien shields, designed to deflect energy weapons, barely slowed the projectile. It punched straight through the shields, through the armor, through the entire ship. The battlecruiser split in half, both pieces tumbling away in different directions. 3 more slugs launched. 3 more Concordate ships died. The aliens had never seen this weapon before. They didn't know how to defend against it. "You wanted a war," Chen said, broadcasting to the entire Concordate fleet. "You invited us here to finish us. Instead, let me show you what happens when you corner humanity. Let me show you what we're capable of when we're done being nice." The battle erupted in full fury. Space filled with weapons fire, explosions, and dying ships. But this wasn't the easy massacre the Concordate had planned. This was a real fight, and humanity had been preparing for it for 3 weeks. Chen watched it all from the station, coordinating her forces. Her people had seized key areas of Sanctuary 7. The alien dignitaries who had sat at the banquet were now prisoners, secured in a sealed section for their own protection. Human engineers were hacking into the station's systems, taking control. "Admiral," Commander Webb reported, "we've secured the main computer core. We have full access to their communications." "Good," Chen said. "Transmit everything. Every message they sent us, every order Vexthor gave, every weapon they hid around this station. Send it all out on every frequency. Let the galaxy see what the Concordate really is." Outside, another Concordate ship exploded. The aliens were beginning to realize they'd made a terrible mistake. They'd thought the trap would be the battle raged around Sanctuary 7 like a storm of fire and metal. Admiral Chen watched from the station's command center, which her Marines had secured 10 minutes ago. The tactical display showed a chaotic swirl of combat, ships darting and weaving, weapons fire crossing the void in brilliant streams of destruction. The Concordate still had the numbers advantage. 60 warships against 12, but numbers weren't telling the whole story anymore. "Status report," Chen ordered. Commander Webb pulled up the data. 7 Concordate ships destroyed. 15 more damaged. 3 have broken off and are retreating. Our fleet has taken hits but no critical damage. Shields are holding at 60% average. Casualties? Minimal on the ships. Here on the station we've got 15 wounded, 2 serious. The aliens lost about 40 personnel when they tried to rush our positions in Section 7. Chen nodded. The Concordate forces on the station had tried several counterattacks, but they'd been disorganized, poorly coordinated. They'd been prepared to control prisoners, not fight soldiers. Her Marines had taken control of every critical system within the first 15 minutes of combat. Outside, another Concordate ship took a hit from Newton's Revenge. The kinetic projectile tore through its engines, sending the vessel spinning out of control. It wasn't destroyed, but it was out of the fight. "Admiral," the communications officer called out, "we're receiving transmissions from multiple Concordate species. They're not all on secure channels. Some of them are arguing with each other." "Put it through," Chen said. The speakers crackled with multiple alien voices, all talking over each other. Chen's translator worked overtime to keep up. She heard fear, confusion, and anger in those voices. "This was supposed to be coordinated," one alien was saying. "You promised us an easy victory, Vexthor." "Fall back to defensive formation," another voice commanded. "We're taking too many losses." The humans knew. They were prepared. Someone must have warned them. Chen smiled grimly. Actually, someone had warned them. A Concordate officer, a minor logistics coordinator who had grown disgusted with the plan to massacre diplomats. That alien had sent an encrypted message to Earth 6 months ago, detailing the entire plot. Chen had verified the information through other intelligence sources before committing to Protocol Trojan Horse. She'd make sure that alien received protection later, assuming any of them survived this. "Admiral Chen," a new voice cut through the chatter. This one she recognized, Ambassador Kelthar, who had welcomed them so warmly just an hour ago. "Admiral, please. This can still end without more bloodshed." Chen activated her own transmitter. "Ambassador, you welcomed us to Sanctuary 7 with the intent to murder us. You put weapons on a supposedly neutral station. You violated every diplomatic tradition your species claims to hold sacred, and now you want to negotiate?" "We were following orders," Kelthar said, and Chen heard genuine desperation in the alien's voice. "Not all of us agreed with this plan. Some of us truly wanted peace." "Then you should have spoken up before inviting us into an ambush," Chen replied coldly. But we're not like you, Ambassador. We don't make war on diplomats. You and the other civilians on this station are under our protection now. We've secured you in the habitat sections. You won't be harmed. She cut the transmission and turned to Webb. What's the status on those transmissions we're broadcasting? Going out strong, Admiral. We've received confirmation that at least 24 neutral species have picked up our signal. They're seeing everything. The invitation, the hidden weapons, Vex Thor's surrender demand, all of it. Good. Chen pulled up the tactical display again. The battle was starting to shift. The Concordate fleet was no longer pressing the attack aggressively. Several ships were hanging back, weapons charged but not firing. They're losing their nerve. 3 more ships are breaking formation, Webb reported. Wait, we're receiving a transmission from one of them. It's the Kelvor contingent. They're saying they're withdrawing from the battle. They're claiming they were deceived about the nature of this operation. Chen watched as 3 ships turned and began accelerating away from Sanctuary 7. The Kelvor were one of the smaller species in the Concordate, brought in mostly for their technical expertise. They'd probably been told this was a legitimate military operation, not a betrayal of diplomatic protocols. Let them go, Chen ordered, but keep guns on them until they're out of range. More transmissions were coming in now. The galaxy was reacting to what it was seeing. Neutral species were demanding explanations. Some were condemning the Concordate. A few were even offering support to humanity. Then Lord Vex Thor's face appeared on the main screen again. The alien commander looked different now. Less confident, almost desperate. Admiral Chen, he said, you have made your point. You have shown that humanity cannot be easily defeated. But look at the mathematics of this situation. You have 12 ships. I have 54 remaining. Even with your weapons, even with your preparations, you cannot win a prolonged engagement. Maybe, Chen agreed. Or maybe you're the one who can't win. Every minute this battle continues, more species see what you did. More members of your coalition question their loyalty. How many more ships will abandon you, Vex Thor? How many more want to die for a leader who lies to allies and betrays diplomatic protocols? As if to emphasize her point, 4 more Concordate vessels broke formation. These were Thexari ships, a species known for their strict honor codes. The idea of attacking diplomats must have been eating at them. Vex Thor's expression hardened. Then I will show you what desperation looks like, human. The transmission cut off. Chen felt a chill run down her spine. Webb, what's he doing? The sensor officer's voice was tight with alarm. Admiral, massive energy surge from the Concordate flagship. They're targeting... Oh no, they're targeting the station. Chen's blood ran cold. The station? His own people are on this station. He doesn't care, Webb said grimly. If he can't win, he's going to kill everyone. Humans and aliens alike. The tactical display showed the Concordate flagship charging its main weapons. Those guns were designed to destroy planets from orbit. Fired at a station, even one as large as Sanctuary 7, they would vaporize it completely. Thousands would die. Humans, yes, but also all the alien civilians and dignitaries who were sheltering in the habitat sections. Time to impact? Chen demanded. 3 minutes, the weapons officer replied. We can try to intercept with our point defense, but that much firepower. Chen's mind raced. 3 minutes. Not enough time to evacuate. Not enough time to bring the shields to full power. The station had been damaged in the initial fighting. Its defensive systems were compromised. Options, she snapped. We could destroy his flagship, Webb suggested. Hit it with Newton's revenge before it fires. That would take 2 minutes to charge and target, the weapons officer said. We'd be cutting it close. Admiral, another voice called out. It was Lieutenant Morrison, one of the engineers. I have an idea, but it's crazy. I'm listening, Chen said, the station's reactor core. We can't move the whole station, but we could eject the core. Use the Dreadnought's tractor beams to throw it away from the station. If Vex Thor fires at the station, he'll hit empty space. The explosion would still damage us, Webb pointed out. Damage, yes, Morrison agreed, but not vaporize. We'd have a chance. Chen looked at the timer. 2 minutes, 30 seconds. She'd been a soldier long enough to know when it was time to take the crazy option. Do it, she ordered. All engineering teams prepare to eject the reactor core. All ships ready tractor beams. We're going to throw this thing as far as we can. Her crew moved with practiced efficiency. Emergency protocols engaged. Deep in the heart of Sanctuary 7, massive clamps released, separating the reactor core from the rest of the station. Warning klaxons blared throughout the facility. Reactor core free, Morrison reported. Tractor beams engaging. On the view screen, Chen watched as invisible beams of force grabbed the reactor core. It was massive, easily the size of a building. The dreadnoughts strained, their engines flaring bright as they fought against the core's inertia. 1 minute. Webb counted down. The reactor core began to move, slowly at first, then faster. The tractor beams flung it away from the station, sending it tumbling into empty space. 40 seconds. The core was still too close. If Vexthor fired now, the explosion would destroy the station anyway. Chen watched the tactical display, her fists clenched. Come on, move, move. 20 seconds. The reactor core was finally at a safe distance, still moving, carried by its own momentum now. On the display, the Concordat flagship's weapons had reached full charge. 10 seconds. Chen grabbed the edge of the console. Around her, everyone braced for impact. 5, 4, 3. The Concordat flagship fired. Brilliant beams of energy lanced across space, targeting where Sanctuary 7's reactor core had been just minutes before. Instead, they hit the ejected core, which was now several kilometers away. The explosion was spectacular. The reactor core detonated with the force of a small star, a sphere of pure energy expanding outward. The shockwave hit Sanctuary 7 like a hammer, sending the entire station tumbling. Inside, Chen was thrown against her restraints. Lights flickered. Systems sparked and died. But they survived. When the emergence, the Concordat flagship hung in space like a wounded animal. Its weapons were dark, its shields down. Around it, the remains of the alien fleet drifted. Some ships damaged, others retreating, all of them waiting to see what would happen next. Admiral Chen stood in the battered command center of Sanctuary 7, watching the alien ship through the cracked view screen. Her armor was scorched and dented. Blood had dried on her lip from where she'd bitten her tongue during the reactor explosion. She'd been awake for 36 hours straight, running on coffee and adrenaline, but she'd won. Against all odds, humanity had survived the trap and turned it back on their enemies. Admiral, Commander Webb said quietly, we're receiving a transmission. It's from inside the Concordat flagship. It's not Vexthor, Chen raised an eyebrow. Put it through. The face that appeared on screen belonged to a Vextar, the same species as Vexthor but younger. The alien wore military armor that was marked with damage. Admiral Chen, I am Commander Krelvak, second officer of the flagship Devastator. Lord Vexthor is under arrest. He attempted to destroy this station and everyone on it, including thousands of Concordat citizens. His own officers stopped him. We are formally requesting terms of surrender. Chen felt a wave of relief wash over her. Not just surrender, but Vexthor arrested by his own people. That changed everything. Commander Krelvak, she replied, here are my terms. All Concordat forces will stand down immediately. All ships will power down weapons and shields. Any species that wishes to withdraw from this battle may do so freely. We will not pursue. She paused, choosing her next words carefully. The galaxy was watching. Everything she said now would echo across 1,000 worlds. Those who remain will be treated according to military law. Wounded will be given medical care. Prisoners will be held safely until negotiations can determine their fate. War criminals, including Lord Vexthor, will face trial for their actions, and every species in this sector will know exactly what happened here today. Krelvak nodded slowly. Your terms are generous, Admiral. More generous than we deserve. Perhaps, Chen agreed. But humanity doesn't make war on defeated enemies. We're not like Vexthor. We don't massacre prisoners or fire on civilian stations. She let that sink in. Now, do you accept these terms? I do, Krelvak said. On behalf of all Concordat forces present, I surrender. We will comply with your orders. One by one, the remaining Concordat ships powered down their weapons. Chen watched the tactical display as threat indicators winked out. 54 ships had entered this battle on the alien side. 23 were destroyed or disabled. 15 had already fled. The remaining 16 were now surrendering. Webb, Chen said, turning to her intelligence officer. Start coordinating with the Concordat ships. I want medical teams dispatched to their wounded. I want their weapons locked down, but I don't want their life support compromised. And I want Lord Vexthor transferred to our custody within the hour. Yes, Admiral, Webb replied, and began issuing orders. Chen walked to the window and looked out at the debris field that surrounded Sanctuary 7. Pieces of ships drifted past, some still burning despite the vacuum of space. People had died today. human and alien alike, all because Vexthor had chosen treachery over honor. "Admiral," the communications officer called out, "we're being hailed by multiple governments. The Kelvor Federation, the Thexari Republic, the Novian Commonwealth, even some Concordat member species. They all want to talk." Chen wasn't surprised. The battle had been broadcast across the sector. Every government with a receiver had watched humanity walk into a trap, reveal it, and win the ensuing battle. Now they all wanted to know what came next. "Tell them we'll respond within 24 hours, Chen said. "Right now, we have wounded to treat and a station to stabilize." The next hours passed in a blur of activity. Human medical teams worked alongside alien doctors to treat casualties. Engineers from 3 different species collaborated to repair critical systems on Sanctuary 7. Marines supervised the transfer of prisoners, treating them firmly but fairly. Lord Vexthor was brought to the station in restraints, flanked by his own officers who looked ashamed to be associated with him. Chen met him in a secure holding area. The alien commander looked diminished somehow, smaller than he had appeared on the view screens. His armor had been removed, leaving him in a simple uniform. He glared at Chen with hatred in his eyes. "You should have died here," Vexthor said. "This was supposed to be humanity's end." "Why?" Chen asked. It was the question that had been bothering her since this began. "Why go to such lengths? Why the elaborate trap? You could have just attacked our worlds directly." Vexthor laughed bitterly. "Because the Concordat is fracturing, human. Half our member species wanted peace with you. They see humans as potential allies, potential trading partners. I needed something dramatic, something that would unite the Concordat against you. I thought if we could eliminate your leaders in one strike, claim it was a military necessity the coalition would hold. Instead, you gave them a reason to abandon you," Chen observed. "Yes," Vexthor admitted. "I miscalculated. I thought humans were soft, naive. I thought you would believe in peace negotiations because you wanted so desperately for the war to end." "I was wrong," Chen nodded slowly. "We do want the war to end, but we're not stupid, and we learned a long time ago that the only way to have peace is to be prepared for war." She turned to leave, then paused. "You'll stand trial, Vexthor. Not just before humanity, but before the species you betrayed, the Concordat citizens you tried to murder, the allied governments you lied to. History will remember you as the leader who destroyed his own coalition through treachery." She left him there and returned to the command center. Webb was waiting with more updates. "The Kelvor Federation has formally withdrawn from the Concordat," he reported. "They're calling for a new alliance, one that includes humanity. The Thexari are considering the same. At least a dozen other species are demanding. Concordat leadership step down. The coalition is collapsing," Chen said. "Not just collapsing, reforming. They're talking about creating a new galactic government, one based on actual democratic principles rather than military might. And they want humanity to be a founding member." Chen let herself smile. It was a tired smile, but genuine. "Get me a secure line to Earth. The president needs to know what's happening." The call took a few minutes to connect. When the president's face appeared on the screen, Chen could see the relief in the older woman's expression. "Admiral Chen," the president said, "the entire planet has been watching. You did the impossible." "We got lucky," Chen replied honestly. "They underestimated us. That won't happen again." "Maybe not," the president agreed. "But we've proven something important. We've shown the galaxy that humanity can't be pushed around, that we're smart, prepared, and capable. What happens now?" Chen pulled up the data Webb had compiled. "Now we negotiate from a position of strength. Multiple species want to meet with us, form alliances, establish trade. The Concordat is in chaos. Some species will probably try to continue the war, but they'll be doing it without unified command or purpose. And the prisoners? We'll hold them according to military law. Eventually, there will need to be trials, prisoner exchanges, all the usual post-war diplomacy. But ma'am, I think this battle might have ended the war." The president was quiet for a moment. 15 years, she finally said. 15 years of fighting, and it might end because we refuse to be victims." "Yes, ma'am." "Bring our people home, Admiral. Bring them home safe." The transmission ended. Chen stood in the command center, looking out at the stars beyond the damaged station. Earth was out there somewhere, 3 weeks away at faster-than-light speeds. Home. Over the following weeks, Sanctuary 7 became the center of a new kind of gathering. Not a trap this time, but genuine negotiations. Species from across the sector came to meet with humanity, to discuss peace terms, trade agreements, mutual defense pacts. The station that was meant to be humanity's graveyard became the birthplace of a new galactic order. The trial of Lord Vexthor became a major event. Representatives from 30 species attended. The evidence was overwhelming. His own officers testified against him. The recordings of his attempt to destroy the station sealed his fate. He was found guilty of war crimes, crimes against peace, and betrayal of diplomatic protocols. His sentence, life imprisonment, watching as the coalition he'd tried to save fell apart and reformed without him. 3 months after the battle, Chen stood on the observation deck of Sanctuary 7, now fully repaired. Commander Webb joined her, carrying 2 cups of coffee. "Thought you might need this," he said, handing her a cup. Chen took it gratefully. "Thanks, what's the latest?" "The Sanctuary Accords were signed today," Webb reported. 27 species, including all the major concordate powers, have agreed to the new treaty. The war is officially over. And the terms? Everything we asked for. The Concordat as a military alliance is disbanded. Reparations will be paid to human colonies. War criminals will face justice. And humanity has been recognized as a sovereign power with full rights and protections. Chen sipped her coffee. "It was terrible, but it was hot." "We did it." "You did it," Webb corrected. "Protocol Trojan Horse was your plan." "It was a team effort," Chen insisted.